Duskmourn is here, and today we're heading to our new standard format to see if we can smash our opponents to death with a $50 Azorius Eerie Auras deck. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for our first Duskmourn edition of Budget Magic, and boy do we have a sweet one to kick things off. We're heading to our new standard format to play some Azorius Eerie Auras, a deck that I think might actually be pretty powerful, and it's definitely super cheap. 50 bucks to put together in paper, 16 total rares on Magic Arena, which is actually 8 rares if you have the mana base of Atacurways and Seacrum Coast. So let's talk about this deck, what it's trying to do, jump into some games, see it in action. So let's start with our creatures and the new Eerie mechanic. So the Eerie mechanic, it's basically Constellation 2.0, except Constellation that works with rooms, but we don't have any rooms in our deck, so it's literally just Constellation in our deck. But we have Optimistic Scavenger, 1 mana 1/1, when an enchantment enters, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Gremlin Tamer kind of does the opposite of Optimistic Scavenger. Scavenger lets us go tall and grow a big threat. Gremlin Tamer, when an enchantment enters, we get to make a 1/1 red gremlin creature token. And then Inquisitive Glimmer, for 2 mana, just makes our enchantments cost 1 less, and it's an enchantment creature. So it's going to trigger our Scavenger, trigger our Gremlin Tamer. So this is kind of the start of our creature base. Then we have our 2 big card advantage engines, an Entity Tracker and Enduring Innocence. So Entity Tracker, our new color pie breaking blue Enchantress, and the card's great in our deck. Whenever enchantment enters, we draw a card, and then Enduring Innocence doesn't specifically care about enchantments, but whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield, which is literally every creature in our deck, and the Gremlin tokens from Gremlin Tamer, we get to draw a card once each turn. If it dies, it comes back as an enchantment, and it is an enchantment, so it's going to trigger all of our Eerie stuff. So these are the creatures in our deck, and what this deck really wants to do is get on the board early. Really over the first 3 or 4 turns, we want to get down a Scavenger, a Gremlin Tamer, something with Eerie. We want to get down one of our card advantage engine pieces, because the plan of the deck is for the rest of the game, we're just going to play like this weird pseudo Boggles Auras deck, load up our creatures with enchantment, trigger Eerie a bunch of times, and ride our creatures to victory. So as far as our auras, we got a bunch of them. We start off with 2 different auras that give hexproof. Shard Mage's Rescue, Fae Flight. Shard Mage's Rescue, nice because it's only 1 mana, gives a creature +1/+1 in hexproof for the turn. Fae Flight, 2 mana, but has the upside, along with giving hexproof for a turn, of giving flying. So it's a way we can like send a huge Optimistic Scavenger to the air for lethal or whatever, a huge Gremlin Tamer to the air for lethal. So these cards, we just sit on them. When our opponent tries to kill our stuff, we flash 1 in, and that's going to trigger all of our Eerie stuff to put counters on things, to make gremlins, to draw us cards, and fizzle the removal spell. Then we have our big finisher in Ethereal Armor, which we already know is an absurd card, because it's an absurd card all the way back to Modern. Just for 1 mana giving enchanted creature +1/+1 for each enchantment we control in first strike. This is often giving +5/+5, +8/+8, some ridiculous amount, where the way we most commonly win the game is we just kind of like stall out and play Magic, and eventually have a turn where we're just like Ethereal Armor, Fae Flight, send everything to the air, 1 shot, you make you die. Sheltered by Ghosts, this card I think is actually absurd. I was on the fence when I first saw it. It's a 2 mana aura that enchants a creature we control. When it enters, we can exile a non-land permanent opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield, and the enchanted creature gets +1/+0, lifelink, and ward 2. So when I first saw this, I was like, I don't know, is this bad because it's like a removal spell that can get blown out by our opponent's removal, killing our creature in response, or is it insane because it's a 2 mana removal spell that buffs our creature and it gives ward and it gives lifelink? Well, it turns out this card is kind of absurd. The lifelink on this card is ridiculous against aggro. The ward is also really helpful. Plus, in our deck, we have all these hexproof spells, so the odds of our opponent actually being able to kill the creature that we put it on, not very high, because we're just going to use the Shard Mage's Rescue and Fae Flight to actually protect those creatures, and then we just build this massive flying lifelinker, smash our opponent to death. Otherwise, a couple ossifications just as a catch-all removal spell. Mana base, pretty solid for budget. We get 8 rare dual lands, a couple of demolition fields for like fountain ports or whatever, a bunch of basic lands, and that is $50 Azorius Eerie Auras for standard. That's our budget Magic deck for today. So let's jump into some games and see this deck in action. I think the deck's really sweet. If you like drawing cards and pumping your creatures and casting auras, might be the budget deck for you. But anyway, let's jump into the game, see it in action. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Need some some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. It is Eerie time, and we're going to keep this. We need to find a blue source, but assuming we do, we have a pretty decent curve here. I mean, we have... Oh, all right. That's not a blue source. Well, let's get him for one. Awkward. Is their opponent playing control? They might be blue-white control. Opponent, Meticulous Archive. Well, go to combat attack. Not looking great so far. Hit you down to 18. Missing land drops and up against a control deck. Golly gee. Dowlmaker Shop. Okay. Well, let's untap. There's some blue mana finally. That's a good sign. That is what we were looking for. I think we just get in for one. I think the plan's gonna be flash in the entity tracker, and then next turn we can like Glimmer Shelter by Ghosts or Glimmer Shard Mage Rescue. This isn't too scary yet, right? Because there's no creatures. So Downmaker Shop doesn't do anything unless you also have creatures on the battlefield. Opponent, Optimistic Scavenger and Grand Entryway. All right. Opponent also trying to do eerie things to some extent. Gonna grow the dork and make a 1/1 and grow the dork. Sure. Well, let's play the entity tracker. Step 1. And then let's play the glimmer. Really need to hit a land here. Draw a card. Hopefully find a land. Let's grow the scavenger. Ooh, not a land. Well... Let's Shelter by Ghosts, get another shot at drawing a land, get some triggers. Let's just get rid of the token. That's probably the easiest call, and this lets us do some attacking. Ooh, not a land. All right, well, attack. The question's gonna be, oh no. This jump block makes me pretty sure that our opponent has a Sunfall here, and that they're playing a control. No witnesses, all right, basically a Sunfall. Well, play the land. Play the Gremlin Tamer. And the Gremlin Tamer. Oh, pass the turn. See what our opponent's got. That Wrath was pretty bad for us. Opponent landed. I mean, we're okay with our opponent leveling up because we have another answer with the Shelter by Ghost. So we're actually hoping that our opponent spends 6 mana to unlock that door. Unlock that door, opponent. Go check out the Porcelain Gallery. Look at all those creepy dolls. Opponent decides not to. Well, in that case, let's, Flight of Fae? Opponent's gonna get lost, but we will Shard Mage's Rescue. Whew, okay, make a couple 1/1s. Yes. Give it flying, make some more 1/1s. Virtue of Loyalty. All right, opponent's gonna block one of our dorks. Drops to 10. Opponent's only got 2 cards in hand, though. Wow, they have Sunfall! Oh my god. Hey, well, Enduring Innocence. And, yeah, I mean, I guess we just have to pass the turn for now. Wow, that's a lot of Ras. Opponent gets a 5/5. Draws a Gremlin Tamer. Plays the Virtue of Loyalty. All right, all of this is bad for us. Opponent goes attacking, makes a toy. New sets, new cards, but in the end, it is all about, oh, what do we do? Man, we're missing so many land drops. That's the biggest issue we have here, is we're missing so many land drops. So ossification. Get rid of the 6/6. Sheltered by Ghosts. Get rid of the Porcelain Gallery. Pass the turn. About it. Untap's gonna level up. Yeah, we might just be too slow now. That second Wrath was pretty brutal. Opponent with a big attack. No blocks. Takes our beats. The problem is their team keeps growing too. That is the biggest issue because of this Virtue. I'll play the Glimmer, draw a card. Play Ethereal Armor on the Enduring Innocence. Our opponent has to block here, they die. All right, opponent's gonna block. All right, we go back up to 14. Can we get back into this? Opponent. We have the Shard Mage's Rescue. All right, grand entryway to make a dork. And a dork. We need flying. If we can get flying, we can one-shot. That's what we need. That's what we need. We have the aura that gives flying. Opponent plays a land. Opponent, gonna fire up the flyer. Sure. Well, I mean, we gotta take our beats. Not really anything we can do about it. Sure. Opponent hits us down to 3. Yeah, on the anchorage. The thing is, eventually we're gonna draw 1,000,000 lands, which is less than ideal. Opponent untaps their team. We untap. There's one of our 1,000,000 lands. Let's play the Enduring Innocence. Draw a card. There's another one of our 1,000,000 lands. Crack the Clue. Draw Ethereal Armor. Yeah, I mean, I think this means we probably die. Get in with Enduring Innocence. Actually, so we can put the... Well, okay, we're shields down. But we can Ethereal Armor the Enduring Innocence. We're at 11. Enduring Curiosity. Gonna draw our opponent a bunch of cards. But they're also tapping down. Wow, okay. They just get in with the flyer to draw 1 card. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Opponent untaps. We draw an Ossification. So what do we do now? Get rid of the Enduring Curiosity. Actually, maybe we should just attack with 1. That probably makes the most sense. Let's get in with Enduring Innocence. Opponent blocks. We go back up to 18. Play the land, pass the turn. This has ended up being a wild game. Entity Tracker, sure. And Bottomless Pit. When you unlock this door, return up to 1 target creature to its owner's hand. Well... We have ward 2, so opponent's got to pay the ward, and then we will give it hexproof. Creature would be very helpful here. Opponent, sack in the map. Unwanted Remake, that's actually pretty good if we don't draw anything. Opponent passes. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Oh my god, that's it. That's what we are waiting for. Yes. 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 Send that bad boy to the air. The Flying Sheep Glimmer for the win, I think. Yes! Wow! Okay, best sheep ever. That was a very interesting game. His opponent's also playing an enchantment deck. Obviously, not a budget deck. I think the difference is our opponent's kind of like going wide. We're kind of going tall with the Ethereal Armors. And turns out, Ethereal Armor, still a pretty good card. Even in 2022, that is a big sheep. That is a big, big sheep with a bunch of enchantments. And we overcame 2 wraths. 2 wraths and got the win. Oh, that was good. That was real good. New standard time. We are playing some very eerie Azurius. Checking out the new constellation mechanic. This hand is intriguing. So this is a hand that shows why the flash on Entity Tracker actually might really matter. Ooh, Inquisitive Glimmer. I mean, I think we play that. If they find a way to kill it, I guess that's fine. If they don't, we have a bunch of protection in hand. Opponent Mountain and Razorkin Needlehead. That is annoying. Okay. Ooh, we have a lot of card draw. Enduring Innocence. Well, play the Demolition Field. I think we just pass. I think the plan is run out the Entity Tracker this turn, and then next turn we can answer the Needlekin and hopefully pop off. This Demolition Field not looking great at the moment. If our opponent kills the Glimmer, I think we might have to let it go. Wow, opponent getting in there. So they have first strike, which probably means they have a pump spell. Yeah, we're not gonna worry about it. Sure, opponent. We will take the beats down to 16. And a Scorching Shot on the Glimmer. All right, yep. I think that's fine. We got the removal spell out of hand. Now we can flash in the Entity Tracker. Would like to draw a white source. That would be the best. Because this Demolition Field cannot get white mana. Fey Flight. 1 and 2. I think we just Shelter by Ghosts. So exile first so we don't take the Razorkin damage. Draw white source. Oh, blue source. Okay, blue source is actually fine. It's actually fine because that lets us Fey Flight. So now we can kind of go into weird boggles mode where we can just kind of like defend our entity tracker, hopefully. Yes. Okay, that's an actual target for demolition field because we do need another white source. So we'd like to get down this enduring innocence at some point. God. Oh, we might get him. We might get him. We might get him. We might get him. They're going to take down. Oh no, they're going to take up. Okay. Opponent takes up. Interesting. Finds a mountain. We have so much hexproof that I think we just run this out to draw a card. Optimistic Scavenger, Optimistic Scavenger. 1, 2. Let's blow up this mirror pool. So far, this deck's feeling pretty good. And then we'll just, I think, hit the Koth. Go up to 20. Man, you know what card has been very impressive is Shelter by Ghosts? The lifelink on this is, like, Ward and lifelink on top of being removal is kind of wild. Man, this card's really good. Wouldn't mind just drawing more white mana, honestly. Now we could, like, play an Enduring Innocence and leave up Shardmage Rescue. Ethereal Armor also would just be insane. Opponent, Urbra's Forge. Sure. I mean, that's fine. I think we can race a Forge here with this entity tracker. The world's mightiest. The world's mightiest enchantress. Opponent, getting good for 1. Sure. We will take it. Down to 20. And another Needlehead. Annoying, but legal. Another Shard Mage's Rescue. Let's play a Shard Mage's Rescue, draw a card. Oh, thank goodness. Finally a white source. Sure. Play the land. Kill the Koth. And pass turn. Leave up the Shard Mage's Rescues. We're going to sit on these Shard Mage's Rescues pretty much forever, I think. Enduring Courage. Ooh, that's actually kind of scary. Thankfully, we have all this life gain. But that works. Ooh, that's actually very cute with Forge, isn't it? Get an extra +2/+0 on the tokens. Man, that is some damage. That is some damage. Opponent getting and hitting us. Thankfully, we're gaining so much life that I'm not sure it's going to matter too much. Opponent hits a 17. And passing. We just can't risk the entity tracker. Adhikar Waste is nice. That is nice. So let's play the Adhikar Waste. 1, 2, 3. I think we play Enduring Innocence. Ethereal Armor is an absurd draw here. Absurd enough that I think we are going to cast it on this entity tracker. Oh boy, here comes the life gain now. Yes. And wait, that's another, do we win? If we just play another Ethereal Armor, do we win here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It puts our opponent to 1. All right, we're gonna wait. The funny thing is our opponent's deck is actually like doing a good job of stacking our card draw. They're dealing a lot of damage, but we can just play through it because these enchantments are so ridiculous. Okay, I'm starting to think this might be a real deck. Sheltered by Ghost just seems insane. Screaming Nemesis, okay. The problem for our opponent is, if they cannot deal with this entity tracker, it is just going to kill them next turn. They gotta kill us or kill the entity tracker right now. And red is probably gonna have a hard time dealing with a 10 power creature opponent combat. Grows a dork. Gets in with everything. 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, I think we just block the Screaming Nemesis. It's gonna come back as an enchantment anyway. Sure, they shock the Screaming Nemesis so we don't gain life. I mean, this Screaming Nemesis would have been absurd if our opponent could have stopped the life gain a little earlier. But I think it's a bit late now. Another Fayflight. Yeah. Down to 10. Down to 8. But, I mean, now we just attack for lethal, right? We drop to 7. But opponents tap down. We got the entity tracker. Go to combat, swing, and win. I like the synergies of our opponent's deck. Our opponent's deck has some synergies, but this Eerie deck, wow. Okay, so this game, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but this was actually when I first saw Entity Tracker, I was like, you know, it seems like a fine enchantress. The flash, nice little upside, but not a real big deal. This was a really good example of how the flash can matter, where this let us flash in the enemy tracker, why our opponent couldn't interact with it, and then untap and leave up all of these enchantments that protect it. And we pretty much just rode this entity tracker with a huge assist by Sheltered by Ghost, which has been absurd, all the way to victory. Like, all by itself. Okay, so far so good for a Azorius Eerie on a $50 budget. Sweet. Well, okay. Abzan Eerie. We are mulliganing with some Abzan Eerie. All right, this is better. This is better. Better adjacent. All right. I guess we try it like this. See what our opponent's up to. The problem is we really need one of these creatures to stick. Opponent. Conceal the courtyard in a spiteful hex mage. Sure. Well, play the land, and I think we just play a gremlin. Tama. If we can untap with it, life's kind of good, because we have a way to protect it, but fear of surveillance. Okay, that's fine. There's gotta be a snake deck. Gots to be a snake deck. Well, let's play the glimmer, I guess. Make a 1/1. Pass the turn. Okay, let's just untap one more turn. One more turn without removal, please. Man, look at that art. Fear of surveillance is so creepy. I didn't really think of this as a card for constructed, but are you snaking us? All right, there's the Viper. I mean, this is kind of fine, though, because we have the Sheltered by Ghosts. So we can just take the 4, play a Sheltered by Ghosts on the, I guess on the Gremlin Tamer. Get rid of the Viper. Make a 1/1. Hit ya. Down to 14. Mostly just worried about a Wrath. If they have a Wrath, things could go very wrong. Braids or is a Nightmare. Okay. Not super worried about that. They can sack a land to draw, and we can't really stop it. Spiteful Hexmage. Sure. Alright. So maybe they're sacking the roll. Whatever they sack, I think it's just going to work. We're not going to sack anything. Yeah, let's untap. All right, add a card waste is good. So we can play the land. We can play the Optimistic Scavenger. We can Sheltered by Ghosts on the Glimmer to get rid of the Braids. Grow the Glimmer. Well, I mean, I think we've reached the Wrath or Bust stage of the game. Like, opponent needs a Sunfall or temporary lockdown, something similar. Because we have the protection in hand. Like, targeted removal is not going to do it here. And we should be able to win next turn. Opponent. Overlord of the Bailmerk. Okay, good card. Very good card. But not a Wrath. Opponent mills. Finds a Spellbook Vendor. Sure. Wait, this deck is actually just seeming strong. We might have just accidentally stumbled on a really good budget deck right out of week 1. I mean, obviously, you don't want to read too much into early access, but still. Can we win this turn? I think. Opponent. Gonna pass. Okay, so we will cast this on the Glimmer. Give it flying. Grow the Glimmer. Make a Dork. Untap. Cast this on the Gremlin Tamer. Get the GGs. Grow it. Hit you for 11 in the air. 3 lands. That's all it takes. That is all it takes. This deck almost feels a little, it's got a little Boggles in it. It's got a little like, I'm kind of liking this deck. It feels like an Enchantress deck that can also play like a Boggles deck, which opens up some interesting possibilities. Not bad. Budget Magic time. We are doing some Eerie Azorius things in our new standard format, and this hand's a little sketch. We only, oh boy, all right. Scared. I am frightened. Leyline of Resonance. Yeah, that makes scary things happen. Play the land. Do we run out the Gremlin Tamer? I think we have to. Hopefully they don't have removal. If it dies, things are sad because, wow, okay, opponent, this might be the freebie. They kept the kept the ley line, but we don't have a big follow-up, so they're not really that dead yet. I guess we can run out the Ethereal Armor. Wow, opponent has a, all right, let's do it. Ethereal Armor. Probably should have just done this last turn and made the 1/1 with our opponent missing land drops. Definitely leaving a flight of Fate Flight for the rest of this game now. Opponent down to 15. What is opponent doing? Double ley line, but what is the payoff for double ley line in standard? So many ley lines. But what is the payoff for double ley line in standard? I don't know. I mean, we're flooding out ridiculously and not doing anything, but our opponent's doing even less. They're just discarding ley lines to hand size. So apparently, Gremlin Tamer, good enough if all your opponent does is nothing. Might of the Meek, sure. I mean, we could fizzle it with Fate Flight, but I don't know if I even care at this point. Our opponent might be being very greedy on lands. Wow, still no land, or they're just getting unlucky. Both are possible. So many ley lines. I mean, we have all the lands that our opponent needs, and they have all the action all the enchantments, actually, that we could use. All right, down to 8, down to 7. So I get, like, most of this looks like what I would expect out of a Leyline of Resonance deck. Yeah, sure. I don't understand the Leyline of the Guild Pack. That's the part that I'm confused by. Opponent, Blackleaf Glyphs. Land number 2, Slick Shot. All right, I think we go for the win here. So we can Fate Flight. Trigger, and that should give us lethal combat attack. Well, obviously a bit of an assist from our opponent. I don't know, with the greedy keep. Although that is something that happens with ley lines, right? If you're a ley line deck and the whole point of your deck is to try to do a thing with ley line, I could see how it would be tempting to be like, all right, I mean, I got a bunch of cantrips. Let me just keep the ley line hand. Although they drew so many ley lines. We are playing some Azorius Eerie, some Eerie Azorius in a Duskmourn standard. This hand seems fine. Entity Tracker, Scavenger, double Ethereal Armor can do some things. Can do some things if we get the chance. Well, let's play the Scavenger here. It's just so much surprise damage that opponents don't always see coming. Opponent mills a land. Passing. Well, play the plains. Yeah, we're gonna wait. I don't think we're just gonna go all in on the Scavenger. Hit you to 90. We could just fire off the armors, but yeah, all right. Very glad we didn't do that. It's probably better to like play the Enduring Innocence and then the Entity Tracker. Even if they kill the Enduring Innocence, at least it's gonna come back as an enchantment. All right, so opponent going to kill it. Comes back in enchantment form. Shielded would be annoying. Overlord of the Mistmoors. All right, that's frightening. Frightening. Ossification. Well, we're going to need that in the future. Now, play the land. Yeah, I think we just pass. We can flash in the Entity Tracker, draw a card, and then hopefully, man, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Down to 14. Right of the Moth. All right, cute. That is pretty cute. Well, we will play an Entity Tracker. Draw a card. The problem we're going to have is all these flyers. That is the big issue. Sheltered by Ghosts actually helps a ton. Like a ton. So let's... Sheltered by Ghosts. Draw a card. We could use some Hexproof. That's what we really like here. Draw a Gremlin Tamer. Play Adhikar Ways. Ethereal Armor. Ouch. There it is. That's what we were looking for. Get it, hit ya. All right, now we have the Hexproof, and we got the Lifelink. Our opponent did a pretty ridiculous thing, but is it ridiculous enough to be a single Entity Tracker? TBD, opponent. Gonna go for the throw. Oh, would we like to pay the word? All right. Fate Flight. Hexproof it up. Draw a card. So good. Found it. Gets in for 8. Just kidding. 6. Can we win here? That does have flying. So wait. So if we ossification, maybe. Let's ossification. Get rid of the flyer. I think we win here. Draw a card. Ethereal Armor number 2 on the entity tracker. And we still have Hexproof left over. Draw a card, and yeah. Wow. I mean, this might be the most impressive performance for the deck yet. Because I know we had the game last game, so our opponent just like missed their land drops with the late line deck and never got going. In this game, our opponent did their thing. Like, I imagine this is what their deck's trying to do, which is play the White Overlord, make 2 flyers, which seem pretty good, and then they beseech the mirror to get the reanimation spell, to get back the White Overlord, make more flyers. Our opponent had on turn 5, 4 2/2 flyers and the 6/6 Overlord. It didn't matter. Then we had an entity tracker. That's all we needed. Okay, so initial impression, and you never want to go too far with initial impressions on early access day, but it might be pretty good. Eerie Azorius. Whew, all right, let's see how good Optimistic Scavenger is. Only one creature in this hand, which is a little scary. But, I mean, the rest of the hand looks fine. Found it. What are we up to? Demir A, Sea Chrome Coast, and I think we actually wait. Since we only have one creature, I'm a little scared. Oh, batted. Max punished for not playing the Scavenger. Although if we played it, they could have just killed it. So how do we know what would have happened? They could have had a removal spell too. Opponent takes the creature, of course. Well, yeah, that is a concern. We have 20 creatures in the deck, so we shouldn't run into the Boggles problem too often of like having all these auras and no creatures. But the way this hand is played out, I thought for a minute they were going to Kaido us. Okay, that is a creature. Do we just run it out, even though it could get countered? I think we wait. Let's wait one more turn. If we get batted again, I swear to God, pound it. Tishana's Tidebinder. Well, let's do this now, since we know they have a Tidebinder. Blow up the creature land. Grab a Plains. Because the most popular counter you can pay 2 for, right? So waiting one more turn makes sense, I think. Well, let's see how we do on this one. This is by far the worst start we've gotten off to. All right, there's a Kaido. Frightening. We might still be okay, though. I think we're still okay. Opponent plays the tap land, so we get to play the land, play the Glimmer, Shelter by Ghosts to get rid of the Kaido. Pass the turn with protection up. We could, like, Fey Flight and try to block, but it seems very risky. I mean, 1 Duress doesn't really get us. They might have to take the Ethereal Armor, because we have multiple hexproof spells. Still could use some card draw. Found it. Well, odds of the Glimmer living. Wow, okay, double Duress. Sure. We draw a land that isn't very helpful. Well, might as well go to combat and attack, I guess. We can't block. Hit you back up to 17. This has been our worst game so far. Although we kept the most questionable hand so far. I still think we keep it, but that bat really, really got us. Like, being on the draw, the bat taking your only creature, that, like, time walked us for 2 or 3 turns. So, if anything, maybe it's impressive that we're still in it. Opponent passing. I guess we might as well. What else are we doing with our lives? Ethereal Armor? The fact that Sheltered by Ghost gives lifelink is so absurd. It is. This card's felt insane. This card's felt like really, really insane. I think it's way better than I gave. I was on the fence. I was like, this card's either busted or it's horrible. But now that I've gotten to play with it, I'm leaning way more towards busted. At least in this deck. It feels pretty busted. Well, opponent gonna take the beats. We gain 6. They take 6. We pass the turn. Opponent gonna do some tide binding. The main problem at the moment, though, is if our opponent can deal with the Glimmer, we kind of had nothing left. Haven't drawn any card draw, no Enduring Innocences, no entity trackers. Run out a Kaito. Man, this ward is even paying off here. They can't tap down the creature because it has ward. Opponent gonna get in with the bat. Hit us. All right, gonna surveil and draw with Kaido. Well, let's see if we can draw something. I'd love to draw some card advantage. That would be the biggest draw. We can't attack the Kaido. Make our opponent block with the Tidebinder. And passes. We draw. Well, I mean, a second Shard Mage's Rescue is actually not the worst here. Go to combat. Because our opponent's going to be making plans to get through a Shard Mage's Rescue. The second one might be pretty good if they don't draw a Duress or a Bat. I guess worst case, if they do draw a Duress or a Bat, then the second one at least gives us something to still protect the Glimmer. Opponent gets in, hits us. What a weird draw this game. A quarter of the way through our deck and we've run 2 creatures, which means 18 more to go. All right, opponent passes. We draw even more lands. Well, go to combat. Flood Pit's Drowner. All right, so we will Shard Mage's Rescue it. Opponent blocks with the Drowner. All right, we're up to 33, which we're not going to complain about, but we're falling further and further behind every turn this Kaido sticks out. And eventually, our opponent's going to find a removal spell, and then we're going to be very sad. Opponent gets in, hits us. Down to 29. Like, we're at 29, our opponent's at 16, but I feel like we're losing this game by quite a bit. Found it. Mills a Kaido. Mills a Spyglass Siren. Sure. And plays a Spyglass Siren. Like, our opponent just keeps chumping. Well, I mean, that is more protection for the future, I guess. Opponent, Flood Pit's Drowner. All right, let's go Fayflight. Hexproof. Fizzle it. Attack the Kaido. So this is going to make it harder for our opponent to keep chumping, at least. I'm feeling like we're getting close to the point where we're going to lose this Glimmer, though. Kaido's looked really good here. It's looked really good because we haven't been able to pressure it, but just drawing Surveil to draw a card each turn has been a big problem for us. I'm worried that there's going to be a turn where they tick down the Kaido to tap the Glimmer, and then when we go to protect it, they're going to have a removal spell, and then the game more or less ends. Yeah, I mean, Shard Mage's Rescue. This is the weak point in the plan right here. Where if they have a removal spell, they can pay for the ward, and then the whole house crumbles and we're empty-handed and we scoop. Yeah. Well, we gave it a go. What a the weirdest draw this deck has had in all of our games for sure by about a million miles. But now I think the game is pretty much over. Sheltered by Ghost. Oh, I'll play a land and pass. Yeah, I mean, we'll give it another turn or two and then we're pretty much done. I don't think there's any realistic way. Well, we got to see Kaido. We got to see Kaido do its thing. Strangest draw ever. Where in the world are all of our creatures? Sure, ossification. I mean, nothing we do really matters, I don't think, at this point. We're kind of just playing out the Tishana's Tidebinder. We're kind of just playing out the string here. Attacks with everything. Down to 17. Wow, how have we... I'm not wrong, right? That we have 20 creatures in this deck? We have 20 creatures. 20 creatures. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 18 enchantments, but we have drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 enchantments and 2 creatures. Yeah, just and a lot of lands too. Well, I mean, that's Magic, right? I guess it's good that we can see Kaido go off, and it's good that we get to see the deck lose. I still think that this deck seems kind of insane. Like, we're gonna have a loss on the record, but my goodness, has this deck felt so incredibly good. This game, we're just running so poorly. Bound it. Sure. Takes the last enchantment. We draw, still not a creature, and we scoop it up. Well, can't win them all, I guess, but we won almost all of them. Budget Magic time. We are playing some Eerie Azorius on a $50/16 rare, which is actually cheaper than that because of all the Seachrome coasts and so forth. But budget on Arena in Duskmourn standard. And so far the deck's felt sweet. This hand is Interesting. No card advantage engine. We have a little aggro draw. We got a little aggro draw going on with our optimistic scavenger into maybe a glimmer and some protection. We do need a creature to stick for our protection to really work. Let's play the land. You know what? I think we're gonna play this safe and just get in for one. Next turn we can play the glimmer and leave up both protection spells, which I think is gonna be worth it here. Razorkin Needlehead, obnoxious. Yeah, well, we start getting Gremlin Tamer. Well, let's play the Gremlin Tamer. Play the Plains. Pass the turn. I mean, if they try to kill the Gremlin Tamer, we will save it. Being able to make a 1/1 every time I play an enchantment seems reasonable. When things go right, we can play a lot of enchantments. Opponent. Screaming Nemesis. So if we play this, yeah, this is pretty good. Yeah, I think we do this. Let's play the Shard Mage's Rescue. Grow the Gremlin Tamer. Kill the Needlehead. Take our beats from the Nemesis. Well, play the land. Play the Glimmer. Make a 1/1. Also worth noting, this Gremlin Tamer does not say once a turn. So every enchantment's making a 1/1. Opponent down to 12. About it. Mountain. And Scorching Shot. Well, we will Shard Mage's Rescue that. Again, make a 1/1. Grow the Scavenger. Fizzle. Wow, this deck seems kind of good. Another Needlehead. Sure. Passes. Well, let's see what we draw. Another Glimmer. I mean, another Glimmer's fine. Play the Glimmer. Get some triggers. Grow the Glimmer. Like, we even can flash this in to get a blowout. I think we're in pretty good shape. The opponent blocks. Oh, if they double block, this is so bad for them. Wow, blocks and blocks. Okay. So the Screaming Nemesis can deal a bunch of damage, but if they go... Okay, opponent's gonna go the other way. If they try... Oh, wait, no. No. What's the Nemesis doing? All right, back to the original plan. If they go after a creature here, it's kind of a huge blowout because we have one more hexproof. Yeah. Well, sorry, opponent. We drew a lot of hexproof this game. Grow the Dork, give it hexproof, and this one might be over. This one might be super over. Opponent thinking. Passing. Do you have a Wrath? I don't see a Wrath. We will take one. We will play the Enduring Innocence, get a couple triggers, grow a token, and... Wow. And that lets us kill the Needlekin too? Holy mother. Alright, this deck has felt really, really good. So we get rid of that. We grow a Dork. And do a smidge of attacking. Okay. Enchantments might be back. I mean, I don't want to say this on our first video from early access day, but did we break it? So what did we learn this week about Eerie Azorius in Duskmourn Standard? And all in all, the deck was great. We played 7 games with the deck. We won 6 of them, only losing that really weird game to Dimir, where, I mean, Dimir's obviously a good deck, but we also just ran super awkwardly and didn't really draw creatures and got hit by that bat to take our one creature. Otherwise, though, the deck just beat everyone, and more importantly, because remember, it's early access day, and the record on early access day, maybe not the most meaningful, because people are trying new things, trying out the new cards, but most importantly, the deck just felt really, really good. All the new cards felt really, really solid. The plan seemed pretty streamlined. We drew a bunch of cards, we built big threats, and I gotta say, pretty much all the new cards were really impressive. Entity Tracker, the Flash, was surprisingly relevant, more relevant than I expected, being able to like flash it in and then untap and protect it with Shard Mage's Rescue or Faith Flight. Enduring Innocent was fine, synergizes well with Entity Tracker. If it dies, comes back, draws us a card. Glimmer, we've seen cards like this in the past, just a solid ram spell, is an enchantment. Gremlin Tamer flooding the board, but the big one was Sheltered by Ghosts, and I gotta say, pretty sure Sheltered by Ghosts is just the truth. Like, in this deck at least. I don't know if you can just play in any random deck, because we did have ways to protect our creatures, which made it way better. The fact that we could Shelter by Ghost something, use its removal, get lifelink, get the ward, pump our team, and then also have Faithlight, and then also have Shard Mage's Rescue. That made it way stronger. So maybe you can't just jam in any regular deck, but in this deck, Shelter by Ghost was honestly, I think, our best card. Like, when I first saw this, I wasn't sure what to think. Is this like a bad removal spell? Because if the creature dies, you lose everything and give the thing back. Is it a great aura because it's only 2 mana for ward and lifelink and a buff, and it can be removal? It turns out it's really good. Like, at least in this deck, Sheltered by Ghosts, the lifelink was huge. That let us race the aggro decks where we would just stick this on a creature, and then our opponent would build a big board. I think the game very early in our matches was the best example, where our opponent was also playing an enchantment deck, and they had Virtue of Loyalty going. Their team was like super wide. They had so many creatures that were really big, but we had Sheltered by Ghosts on a creature with ethereal armor, and we were just hitting for like 10, 12 a turn. Our opponent was jumping, but we gained so much life, we actually just stabilized that way and eventually draw the flying to win the game. So I think Shelter by Ghosts might actually be super legit. Overall though, I think this archetype might be legit. Like, we're playing a super budget version, and the budget version I really like, because I like the fact that we can kind of play like a Boggles deck. Ethereal Armor, still a ridiculous card, even in 2024. So we can play like this Boggles deck that can also kind of go along with Gremlin Tamers and so forth. But there's a lot of other possibilities for this archetype too. We get all the rooms that you could try in this deck. You could play stuff like Virtue of Loyalty. There's a lot of good enchantments in Standard, and these new cards seem to really power them up. So I would say, if you're looking for a budget deck for release week on Magic Arena or your LGS, keep Azorius Eerie in mind. The deck actually seems legit. I think it should play really well in best of 3 because blue and white gives you really good sideboard options. So I think for $50 or 16 rares, and even less if you got the lands, seems like a really solid option for our new Standard format. So anyway, that's been Azorius Eerie. That's been our first Duskmourn budget Magic. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.